Hi there, I'm Dr. Melissa Pons, and you're watching Dr. Melissa's Health Spotlight, the place to be to build a body of vibrance, abundant energy, and masterful metabolism. And today I'm sharing with you a topic that many Americans are struggling with today, and that's the connection between insulin resistance and depression. Insulin resistance develops as a result of eating too many high-carb foods over an extended period of time. The problem here is now you're developing insulin resistance, which over time will also cause major metabolic shifts like weight gain, fatigue, sluggishness, mental fatigue, and even depression. Now, last week, we established how insulin acts as a gatekeeper to the brain. It allows for the precursors, the building blocks of serotonin, to flood inside the brain, so your brain can then create a lot of serotonin. You would think that too much insulin in the body would be a good thing because that would mean that there would be more serotonin production going on in the brain and you might feel happier. And at first, you do feel happier. In fact, when you eat a high-carb meal, often we feel really giddy and energized. And the thing is that feels good initially, but after about 15 or 20 minutes, there's often a crash in your blood sugar. And then that's when the mood really crashes. That's where the depression really kicks in. That's when the moods get really low. And that's sometimes where the irritability comes in. And if you do this over and over for a long enough period of time, what happens is the brain cells, the neurons we call them, they too start to develop a resistance to serotonin. And now the brain has established a downregulation in the serotonin in the brain. And that's really a bad thing because that's when real depression starts to come on. That's when those low moods start to last a little bit longer. That's when those high carb meals, they might make you feel better for maybe 10 minutes now, 5 minutes, but then you're constantly reaching back for something that's more sugar, more high carb, because you're literally self-medicating with food. You're literally trying to induce these serotonin levels to stay high in the brain. And it's a vicious cycle. You can't keep feeding into this cycle. Instead, we need to de-inflame the brain and help those neurons to become more sensitive to serotonin again. And the ways that we start taking action in this, the ways that we start reversing this desensitization is we start changing the way that we eat. The name of the game with insulin resistance patterns is to eat more protein with your meals. Make sure that you're eating proteins when you're eating a high sugar snack, even fruit. Make sure you couple that fruit with maybe a nut butter or a handful of nuts or a piece of cheese, something that's going to help blunt that insulin response. And protein's really good at doing that. So if you notice any of these behavioral shifts going on within yourself or with a loved one, really start with making some action items that are really simple. And I've listed a couple of them at the bottom of this video here today because learning the information is one thing, but knowing what to do with it is quite another. All right, well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you liked this video, please share it on Facebook. And if you'd like to continue to get weekly updates from myself, Dr. Melissa Pons, please head over to truefunctionalmedicine.com and subscribe to our weekly health spotlight. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week on Dr. Melissa's Health Spotlight.